This conference will now be recorded.
Good evening, everyone. In the last class, we have discussed about Maven tool, Apache Maven tool. So what is this Maven tool? It's a build tool. It's a build automation tool. So what is the meaning of build automation process? Like we should be able to compile our source code, packaging, running the test cases, adding the dependencies into the project. So these are the main process we do in the build tool. Today, let us move to the next and very important tool, that is GitHub tool. But before we go to GitHub tool, let us understand about source code repository servers. What is the meaning of this source code repository server? The main need of going with this source code repository server is like, let us suppose we are having a project. We are doing some project here. So when you are working on a project, multiple developers are going to work. Means multiple team members are going to work on a project. So let us suppose we are having team member 1, we are having team member 2, we are having team member 3, team member 4. Let us suppose for our project totally 4 team members are working. And whatever the code they are writing, we should keep that code at one common place. We should keep that code at one common place. So let us suppose the team members are working from different locations. Now whatever the code they are developing, we want to keep it in a common place. That only we call it as source code repository. That only we call it as what here? Source code repository. We can even call it as shortcut repo. Repo means repository only. So whatever the code team member is writing, they can push that code into the source code repository, team member 2, team member 3, and team member 4. So whatever the code they are developing, we can keep that code at one common area so that if one team member want to access another code, they can able to access it very easily. So that is the place where we make use of this code source code repository server. So what is the use of this source code repository server? In a project, multiple developers are going to work. In order to integrate and monitor the code changes, in order to integrate the code and monitor the code changes by the team members, we are going to use source code repositories. Source code repository server. We are having totally two source code repository servers used nowadays. Source code repository servers. So the main and majorly used by many people is GitHub, and next one Bitbucket. So GitHub is from Microsoft. It is under license of Microsoft, whereas Bitbucket is from Atlassian company. Right? So today in our course we are going to discuss about GitHub tool. Right? So in future when we go with Spring Boot, all those things, at that time I'll even discuss about Bitbucket. So today whatever I'm going to do, it's an introduction to GitHub tool. So we'll be just learning the commands today, and in the coming sessions we are going to discuss more on GitHub and how we are going to use in project. Everything we are going to see practically, how we work in projects, everything we are going to see once we enter into the next part of our course. Now let us start off with GitHub tool. So what is this GitHub is like? GitHub is a cloud platform. GitHub is what? It's a cloud platform which is used to maintain source code repository. Source code repositories. GitHub will provide what GitHub is going to provide. GitHub will provide monitored access for code repository. What GitHub is going to provide monitor access for code repository, like who is changing the code, when the code is getting modified, why that code is getting modified, what got modified, these all things it's going to monitor. GitHub is under license of Microsoft. GitHub is what? Under license of Microsoft. Now, how to do this GitHub setting? So, GitHub environment setup. So, in order to work with this GitHub, first of all, we need to create a GitHub account. The first step, what we need to do, we need to create GitHub account. So, how to create this GitHub account is open search engine like Google and you can search for GitHub. Just to search for GitHub. Let me show this. Open search engine like Google and search for GitHub. This is the URL you can use. The first link what you are getting, we can make use of this URL to open. This is the URL you can use. Let me sign out so that I can show everything to you. So this is the first page what we are going to get here. Right. So this is the page what we are going to get. Let me show once again. So what we need to do, we need to open Google and search for GitHub. And the first link what you are getting, open this link. And here we want to sign up. I'm showing everything from beginning. So sign up here. So go with our email ID. So I'm going with the email ID Raj100 Asil. Some email ID. Whatever the email ID you are having, you can provide that email ID. Okay. Go with the password. Then we have to provide a username here. I'm going with the username as same Raj100 Asil. Right? Right. All are present here. Now select the country, India or your own country. So this country or region, your wish. Then just to click on this continue button. So it's going to verify our account. So you can go with this visual person. So this one we have to match. Where it is present, right? I think this one. Submit. this one. Where is this one present? This one maybe, right? So verify your account, it has done. Now it's going to send a password. It's going to send a code to our to confirm our email address. Open our email address. So here you're getting the mail. So copy this code, and verify your account by providing the code over here. There. Now again it's going to log out and it's going to ask you to sign out. Sorry, it's going to ask you to sign into the GitHub. So provide the username. So here you can provide the username, that is Raj 100 Asil. Raj 100 Asil. Then provide the password what you have given. Duplicating dollar. Now says sign in. That's it. So this is the home page of our GitHub account. Got it, this one? Clear? Any questions after here, anyone? How to create this GitHub account? Right? Then our next step is, once we have done this process, our next step is download and install Git client. We have to download and install what? Git client software. So what is the use of this Git client? Git client software is used to communicate with GitHub repository. It's used to communicate with what? GitHub repository. Right? Then how to download is open search engine like Google and you can search for download Git for Windows. So whichever the operating system you can mention over here. Let me show this. Open search engine like Google and you can search for GitHub. Sorry. You can search for what? Download Git for Windows. Then open this link. So this is the URL you can use in order to download Git client. So what is the main use of Git client? Mainly to communicate with the GitHub repositories. So here you can see the option download for Windows. Click on this, and here once again we have to click on this. Git for Windows x64 setup. Click on this to download. Once the file is downloaded, we have to just run that application. Just run this application. Then click on next button. Then just keep on clicking on next button here. Next, it's going to ask you where you want to create this Git. It's going to create in C drive program files. Click on next button. Just to click on next button. Next, 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 and next, next, next. Just to keep on clicking on next button. That's it. Then finally click on install. That's it. Once the installation is completed, just to close the window. So just uncheck this view release notes, just click on finish button. That's it. Your Git client is installed on our operating system. Git client is what? Installed on our operating system. Now, next step, let us go to our folder. Let us go to our folder here. Any folder, let me create one folder here. New, let me say Git practice. Practice. Now, if you open this folder and if you right click here and see here, show more options, you can find the options in open Git bash here. You can see the options here, open Git bash, right? This is the place where we provide our commands. Okay. Now, the first step what we need to do is, we need to connect to our Git account. So in order to connect to our Git account, we have to provide our name, that is username, and our email ID. So what we have to do here, once we have done with the download and install this Git client, what is our next step? Open Git bash. Open Git bash and configure name and email in Git bash. This is only one-time process. This is only what? One-time process to us. So how to open Git bash? I said you can go to any folder. Right click and say show more options, and you can see what here, open Git bash, right? So you can see this dollar symbol. Here we have to provide the commands here like this. Git config hyphen global means, so we can work in any folder, hyphen global user.name. What is the username we have given? Raj 100 Asil. Then press enter key. Then the next step, we have to configure email also. So git config hyphen global user.email. What is the email ID we have used? Raj100 Asil at gmail.com. So we have configured our username and email. So what are the commands here? Your dollar symbol at your git bash, we have to use this command git config hyphen global user.name. So whatever the username we are having, that you can take it. In my case, Raj100 Asil. Then the next step again same, git config hyphen global user.email. Provide the email ID over here. Right? So this is only one-time process for us. This is only one-time process. Clear everyone? Any questions? Let us move to the next one, Git architecture. So let us understand this using a diagram. Git architecture. This is very, very important. If someone asks you about Git, just you can explain this Git architecture. Here, whichever the folder we are working, that we call it as the working tree. And wherever we are going to store our code. So when all team members are working, we'll be storing our code at one common place, and that will be created where? In GitHub. That we call it as central or remote repository. That we call it as what? Central or remote repository. So here we'll be having the GitHub. This is our GitHub. In GitHub, what we are going to do? We are going to create a central or remote repository. Even we can call it as remote. So where we are going to create our repository to store our project data. Okay, we will be creating in GitHub. This is our central or remote repository. So this repository can be public or private. This repository can be what? Public or private. So what is the meaning of public? Anyone can access. What is the meaning of public? Our repository can be accessed by anyone. And private means no one cannot access our repository. It is private. It's private for us only. Right? The repository can be of two types, public or private. There. Now, whichever the folder we are working, that folder we call it as working tree. The folder wherever we are, whichever the folder you are storing all your files, that we call it as what? Working tree. What is this working tree? The folder where we store all our files. There. So in order to initialize the working tree, we have to make use of a command called as git init. Only one time process. In order to initialize the working tree, what command we are going to use? Git init. So what is the use of this command? What is the use of this command? Git init to initialize the working tree. The working folder only we call it as working tree. Then, so what are the files you have created in this working tree? We have to add that files to a area called as staging area. What are the files we have created? That files we have to send it to what? Staging area. Once you send the files to staging area, then only we can send our files to local repository. From local repository, we can send it to remote repository. So first, what are the work we are doing? So in order to send our working directory data to your staging area, we are going to make use of a command called as git add. What command we are going to use? Git add. So what is the use of git add? What are the files you have created in working tree? In order to send that files to staging area, we have to use which command? Git add. Then, now, what are the data present in the staging area? Now we have to send that files to local repository. So what are the files present in local repository? That only we can push to remote repository. So here we will be having a local repository. What we have to do? What are the data present in staging area? The files we have to give it to local repository. How to send that? By using the command git commit. What command we have to use? Git commit. Commands are very, very important. So first what we have to do, what are the working directory we are having, where the files we store. From that files, what are the files present in working tree? If I want to add it to staging area, what is the command we have to use? Git add. Then from staging area, we have to push it to local repository. For that, we use the command git commit. Then from local repository, if I want to send the data to remote repository or central repository, we have to use the command git push. What command we have to use? Git push. These are the major important commands for us. Git push, right? Git add, git commit, and git push, right? Now, let me show all these comments now. Let me show all these comments. For that one, let us create one repository in our GitHub. How to create a repository in GitHub? Go to your GitHub account and you can see the options here. Create repository. So once we open our page, github.com, once you sign up, it's going to open this dashboard. Here you can see create repository. Click on this, create repository. So here it's going to show the owner. So whatever the username it's taking, it's going to take here and provide the repository name. So I'm giving it as our batch number, full stack Java, real time projects. Let me go same one here. So this is available. Now, once we give the repository name, anything XYZ, now come down and click on this button, create repository. That's it. Your repository is now created. Then, once the repository is created, see, we are working in which folder? Git practice, right? We are working in Git practice folder. Then I have opened the git bash at git practice folder. Okay, so at this terminal, what you do is just to copy these comments. Just to copy these comments. Don't worry what is the use of these comments now. Just to copy these comments, then come back to git bash and paste these comments and press enter key and press enter key. That's it. Okay. Now what we have done in this one, see, first we are initializing the working tree. How to initialize? See, git init. I said no in the diagram. How to initialize our working tree? Git init. It's only one time process. Then what we are doing, see, git add. See, first before that you can see one more command, see, echo some data, full stack Java real time projects one, that I'm adding it to readme.md. So this content will go and store into a file called as readme.md. Then we are initializing our working tree. After that, what you are doing, whatever the file it has created, readme.md, that we are adding to the staging area. How to add it to staging area? Git add readme.md. Then once we add it to staging area, what is our next step? We have to commit it. So once you commit, it will go to local repository. How to commit? Git commit -m means we have to provide the message why you are committing this. So I'm saying here first commit. So this message is important. If you are not providing the message, it won't commit. So we have to say git commit -m means the message what you want to say, first commit. So this branch, don't worry now. Then the next thing, see, git remote add origin. This is the location of our git. This is our repository address. So in order to connect from our system, from our local system to your GitHub repository, this is the location of our GitHub repository. This only we share to other people in order to get the data from our GitHub repository. So this is the URL for our GitHub repository. So in order to establish the connection from our local system to GitHub repository, we have to use which command? Git remote add origin, and this is the location we have to provide. Right? Then we are saying git push. Git push. So what are the content we are having now? This readme.md that will be pushed into our repository. Check it here. Open our GitHub. Open our GitHub, and if I click on this, so this is our repository name. If I click here, now you can see okay. For the first time, it should ask for the permission. It is not asking for the permission. Let me close it and reopen. So the file got created. Let me open Git bash again. So just copy this. Paste over here. Then press enter key. Already I've logged in. That's the main problem it's creating. Just 1 second. Manage Windows credentials. Under generic credentials, we are having this. This one I'm removing. So already I've added. No, that's the reason it's creating problem. I'm removing this. Okay. Now let us come back to Git bash. Let us come back to Git bash and let me delete this total file here again. Once again, I'm doing. So what we have done, so we have created one repository. We have created one repository. So I'm deleting this one. Once again, I'm going to show everything from beginning. So delete this repository. I want to delete this repository. Just paste this. And delete this repository. So we have deleted the repository. Now let us create a new repository. I'm showing everything once again. So I'm creating a new repository. Provide the repository name, full stack Java, real-time projects 1. Then see, it can be public or private. So when it is public means anyone can access our repository. Come down and click on this button, create repository. Then once we have done this one, just to copy this piece of code. Then in our folder, which is the folder we are working, Git practice, open Git bash. Open Git bash. Then once we open this Git bash, paste the comments here. Paste the comments. These are the comments. Copy this, paste over here. Then press enter key. See, it's asking for the authentication. See, for the first time, it's going to ask you for the authentication. Okay. Sign in with your browser. It is going to ask you the username. Okay, let us check. I think just it is going to ask you for the username and password. Just to fill the data. Let us check whether it has created. Open this. It's creating some problem today. Wait one thing. I'm going to sign in once again. Let me use this user. Here, let us create the repository. Once again, I'm creating. Create repository. Now, let me delete this folder and let us create once again. Now what we do? Copy this piece of code. Open Git bash. Paste our code. Then press enter key. Here, it is asking for the authentication. Okay, it is asking for the authentication. Creating some problem actually. Let's check it here. Here, now it is working. See, for the first time, since already I've authenticated, that's the reason it's not showing the page to me. See here, our file got added. Our file got added. That is readme.md file got added now. Now, what are the commands here? What I said, git init, it is to initialize your working directory, and we are adding this readme.md and we are committing. Committing means what? Add it to the local repository. Then remote, it is used to connect to our git repository. Push to push our local repository data to your GitHub repository. So these are the major important commands. Now, let us go with some more examples. Like, let us create one file called as welcome.java. How to create a file over here is by using a command touch. By using a command touch, I'm creating one file welcome.java. Now see the status of this file. So how to see the status? by using the command git status. So here it's showing in red color. Welcome.java, it is showing in red color. Means just we have created this file in the working directory. Now still it is not ready in the staging area. We have to add this file to where? We have to add this file to the staging area. If the file is not present in staging area, it's going to show it in what? Red color. Now how to add this file to the staging area? Which command we have to use? Git add. What is the name of the file? Welcome.java. Now say once again git status. See the status now. Now the file is in green color. Once we add the file to the staging area, it will be in green color. If the file is not added to staging area, it will be in red color. So we can check this one using which command? Status. Right? Now, once we add it to the staging area, see what we have done? We have added the files to the staging area. Now we have to add that files present in staging area to local repository. How to send it to local repository? We have to use which command? Git commit. Git commit -m and say welcome.java committed. So some message, any message, depends on your application. That's it. Now, once we have committed, we have to push the files present in local repository to remote repository. How to do that? Git push. We have to use which command? Git push. That's it. Now open your repository now. See here, click on this repository. Now you can see one more file got it added to our repositories here. Welcome.java. Right? So initially we are faced with some network issues. That's the reason it's not working. So for the first time, it's going to ask you the username and password. Just provide your credentials. Then it's going to work for you. Here, welcome.java got added in our remote repository. This is our remote repository. So let me show you one more time. Then let me show one more time. Now let us create one file. Touch hello.java. Right? Now what is the status of this git status? What is the status? It's showing see in red color. Now we have to add it to the staging area. How to add? Git add. Which file you want to add? Hello.java. If you are having multiple files, we can even use simply dot also. Even if you say dot also, all the files will be added to staging area. So here we are having one file hello.java. Now check the status again. Git status. So it's going to show in what? Green color. It's showing in green color. Now what I should do? Now the files are present in staging area. Now we have to commit. How to commit? Git commit -m the message hello.java committed. Now we have added to the local repository. Now we have to push the files present in local repository to remote repository. So what command? Git push. Git push. That's it. Now check it here in our remote repository. If you click on our repository name, see, we can see one more file, that is hello.java. Clear this concept, all of you? Right? Then next one. Let me create one more file now. Let me create one more file. User.java. Now check the status. Git status. Git status. Now it is showing in red color. Now I want to send this file to staging area. How to send it? Git add user.java. Git add user.java. Now once we add this add this. Now see the status now, git status. Git status. So now it is showing in green color. So what is the point? We have added that file from working tree to staging area. But I want to give that file back to working tree again. I want to give that file to back what here? Working tree. Means I want to restore our previous command. We want to restore. Then what command we have to use here? Git restore. What command we have to use? Git restore. So how to do this? Now see the file in green color. Now if I use the command git restore hyphen staged user.java. Now see the git status. See, it's now coming in red color. So what we have done, what is the use of git restore? What are the files you have added to staging area? I want to give it back to working tree. Then what command we have to use? Git restore. Right? Then one more important one we are having, that is cloning. Whatever the files present in remote repository, that complete repository, I want to give it back here. I want to take that back into my local repository. So whatever the remote repository you have created, I want to take the files present in remote repository into my local system. For that, we are going to make use of the command git clone. Which command we have to use? Git clone. Now, so in order to show this git clone, let me do one thing. Let me create one Spring application. I'm going to create Spring application. If you are not having any idea on Spring application, don't worry now. Just it's a simple project I'm creating. I'm creating one simple project here. I'm just going with git practice 2. So how we work in reality, that also we'll discuss. Okay, just we are trying to understand about GitHub tool today. Now let me create one Spring Boot project. I'm creating a Spring Starter project. I'm using Spring Tool Suite over here. Don't worry all these things now. Provide the name. I'll say some Git project 2. I'm giving the project name as Git project 2. Then type Maven Java version 17. Provide the group com.rajtech. Artifact, it takes the name Git project 2 and go with some package name. And say next. Add some dependencies. So I'm adding some dependencies like Spring Web, then JDBC API, then some MySQL driver. If you are not having idea on this, don't worry at all. No need to worry. I'll explain all these things. Just I'm creating one Spring Boot project over here. So I've created the project here. Then once you create this project, it's having so many files here. SRC main Java, SRC main resources, all these things we are having. So in the last class, we have seen the Maven tool that only is present. It's the project is created using Maven here. Now this complete project, whatever you are working, let us suppose a team member is working this project. A team member has created this project. Now I want to push this project to the remote repository. How to push the project to the remote repository? So go to the folder where you have created the project. This is the project what we have created. So what I should do? Git project to open this folder. From here, you open your git bash. Whichever the folder you are working now, from that folder, open your git bash. Then once we open this git bash, what I should do now? What are the project we have created? This complete data, I should store it into where? Into remote repository. So what I should use? What command? git add dot. Git add dot. Dot indicates all the files and folders. We are working in the same folder, no? Project 2. So in this git practice 2, we have to come to this git practice 2. Then few more options, git bash here. Now say here git add dot. Not taking. Not a git repository, it's saying. So some problem it's coming. Now let me do one thing. I want to show the clone command here. So what you have to do is, so here you can see the code. So in our repository, these are the files which are present over here. Now I want to take these files back into my working directory. So here you can see code. If you expand this, here you can copy the GitHub URLs here. This one is our GitHub URL. Copy this one. So once you copy this, come back to your prompt, then say here git clone, then paste the address. Paste the GitHub repository address. Then press enter key. So it's doing the cloning operation. It's doing what? Cloning operation. Now we can see the folders here. See the repository folder it is showing, and here you can see our files here. Okay, some problem it is creating for me today. Okay, so just I thought of explaining about git clone. Right, what is the use of this clone? Whatever the remote repository I've created, that I want to get it back to my local system. For that, we are going to make use of which command here? Git clone command. Right? Now, So what are the commands we have discussed here? Git bash commands. What are the commands? Git init. What is the use of git init? Initialize working tree. We are initializing the working tree. Then git status. What is the use of git status? Check working tree status. Staged or not. Staged or not. Then git add. What is the use of git add? Add files to staging area. Add files to what? Staging area. Then git commit. What is the use of commit? Commit local files. Commit local files to local repository. Then git push. What is the use of git push? Publish local commits to central repository. Publish our local commits to central repository. Then next one, git restore. Git restore to unstage the file and to discard changes. To unstage the file and to discard the changes. Then the next one, git clone. So what is this git clone? Download central repository to our local system. So these are the important commands. So we'll be learning some more commands when we start with our regular classes. Right? Then next class will be on Monday. So from Monday, only the enrolled candidates are going to join, and the people who have enrolled, I'm going to share the new GoToMeeting link to join our classes. Right? And even I'm going to change the drive link where you can find all our notes and even the recordings of our classes also. Right? Then from Monday, we are going to enter into the next module, that is, we are going to discuss about Spring Boot and microservices. Right? Thank you all and happy weekend. Thank you all.